structure of my site to look. So one of the first things I'm going to start off with is my URL structure. When you go to create your URL, what you need to make sure is that whether you select www or non-www, so as this example, my domain is golfbreezefence.com. If I select it with no www, it needs to stay consistent across all of my pages. So when I say it needs to stay consistent, what I'm saying is when you do all of your links on page, your internal links, right? So when you go to link to one of your services right here, right? This little link needs to stay the same URL structure. So mine does not have www. There's no www in my domain. So then on all of my links on page, there is no www. For my canonical tags, for any of my links, there is www. Then, so let's say I go and I start creating social, right? I start creating my social profiles on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, Threads. What matters is that link, that URL structure I set up has to remain consistent. So on all of those social profiles or anything linking back to my website, any press releases I do, any citations I go build, the links on my Google Business profile, the links on my social profiles, any link pointing back to my website needs to have the same URL structure. None of those can have the www. What happens is that if you go and put www, Google is going to go find those URLs, think that those URLs are active, and if you don't have proper server config files set up to redirect any traffic going to the other version of your URL. So let's say that you had www.yourdomain.com and all of your links did not have the www. Google is going to go crawl those social profiles. Google is then going to ping that URL, come crawl it, and all of a sudden now you have two versions of the identical same content. You basically have two websites. Google sees the www version of your website, and then it sees the non-www version of your website. So all of a sudden you have two identical websites. Now, what happens is that Google is going to punish your site because you have identical content. What can also happen is if you don't have proper HTTP or HTTPS SSL certifications set up, not only can you then have the www and non-www version, you can have a HTTP and an HTTP www. Basically what I'm saying is you can have 4 different versions of your site that Google is coming to ping and seeing, okay, why are all these pages the same? Why are all these pages identical? There's 4 versions of this website, and it's just going to tank your rankings. Next, when I'm going to rank this fencing company, I'm going to, first things first, is I'm going to buy a press release. Why I'm going to buy a press release is because 90% of local SEO, when you go and look at your competitors' websites, they're going to range between 0 press release backlinks and 1 press release backlinks. A press release is going to get you anywhere between 300 to 350 backlinks. 90% of local SEO, your competitors are rather going to have below that threshold. The times that they're going to have more than 300 backlinks are around 10%. So what we're going to do is we're going to first send that press release, because 9 times out of 10, we're instantly going to beat our competition. If we need more backlinks, let's say you're in a competitive environment where the average is 600 or more, what we can do is we can rather upgrade the press release service to where we get 750, or what we can do is, and around the 4-month mark is we'll do another press release, but this time instead of targeting the homepage, what we'll do is we'll target one of your main top level services you're trying to rank for. So we're going to send the first press release. The first press release is going to be all branded anchor text. It is not only going to link to your homepage, but it's also going to link to your Google business profile. Now, let me show you the correct link you want to be including when you link to your Google business profile. Is you want to make sure you're on the map setting. You're going to want to make sure it's google.com/maps/place and then / and it should say the name of the company. So here we see Superior Fence. That's the link you want to include in your press release. Then when you go to fill out the press release, you want to embed your Google Maps. So we're going to go over here. We're going to go embed a map, and we're going to take this iframe. We're going to take this code, and that's also what you want to include when you go to send that press release off. Another thing is that we also want to embed this map on our website. So first thing, we'll send off that press release, all branded anchor text, has a link to our Google business profile, has all the code of the embedded Google business profile. Then that is going to take anywhere from 2 weeks to 4 weeks, maybe even 6 weeks for Google to find all those links, crawl all those links, and then start giving you the authority from those backlinks. So next thing on my fencing company that I'm going to rank is I'm going to start the structure of the site